Weston Baptist Chapel. Thank you for joining us as we continue our journey down the Via Dolorosa. Today is day 25, and we pick up in Matthew chapter 11, beginning at verse 1. When Jesus had finished giving these instructions to his 12 disciples, he went out to teach and preach in towns throughout the region. John the Baptist, who was in prison, heard all about the things the Messiah was doing. So he sent his disciples to ask Jesus, "Are you the Messiah we've been expecting, or should we keep looking for someone else?" Jesus told them, "Go back to John and tell him what you have heard and seen. The blind see, the lame walk, those with leprosy are cured, the deaf hear, the dead are raised to life, and the good news is being preached to the poor." And he added, "God blesses those who do not fall away because of me." Two things here. First, John the Baptist is in jail and needs encouragement. Jesus reaches out to him to confirm that, yes, Jesus is everything that John expected of the Messiah. Remember that when we are discouraged, and ask God for help. Second, Jesus does something very interesting. Jesus quotes from Isaiah what Isaiah describes what the Messiah will do, and he does all the things Isaiah declares the Messiah will do, except one. He does not set the captive free as described in Isaiah 61. He does not set John free. This is exactly what John wanted Jesus to do. There are times when God does everything to confirm his love for us, except the one thing we want him to do. What does Jesus say instead? Blessed is the person who does not get offended by what Jesus does. God is not required to do everything we ask. God can decide whether a request is best, and sometimes he says no, and chooses not to give a reason why. In these situations, how do we respond? We need to know that he has the best perspective on our life. It is hard to see some prayers not answered when we know that they are good prayers, answering a good need and prayers in line with his promises. It is hard to see them not answered. Still, we know that he sees things we do not see. We need his help to not get offended by his answers. We need his help to trust him anyway. We need his help to bless his name anyway and know that he is doing the best for us. Let's continue reading, picking up at verse number 7. As John's disciples were leaving, Jesus began talking about him to the crowds. "What kind of man did you go into the wilderness to see? Was he a weak reed, swayed by every breath of wind? Or were you expecting to see a man dressed in expensive clothes? No. People with expensive clothes live in palaces. Were you looking for a prophet? Yes, and he is more than a prophet. John is the man to whom the scriptures refer when they say, 'Look, I am sending my messenger ahead of you, and he will prepare your way before you.' I tell you the truth, of all who have ever lived, none is greater than John the Baptist. Yet, even the least person in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he is." When we look for great people of God, what do we look for? Do we look for people speaking popular things? Do we look among the highly regarded leaders? It is unlikely we will find God's great people among them. There is the occasional David, the godly king of Israel, but usually they were unpopular people because of the message they gave. They did not care about earthly possessions and lifestyles. John the Baptist was the greatest and yet treated very poorly. Jesus says something that should encourage us. The very least in God's kingdom is greater than John. Heaven will be amazing if the least is greater than the greatest in this world. Think about God's people who have the greatest spiritual failures. They are greater than John the Baptist, who was the greatest in the world, from God's perspective. Be encouraged. We do not understand just how amazing heaven will be. We cannot imagine a place where the worst is better than the best person who ever lived. We need his help to understand how great heaven will be. Also, we need his help to realize the cost of greatness. It is not found in wealth. It is not found in being highly regarded by others. It is found in profound obedience and diligently doing what God has called us to do. That is the way we need to want to live our lives. We need his help to do this. Thank you for joining us, and join us tomorrow as we continue our journey down the Via Dolorosa. God bless.